The galaxy knew her name. Queen Zerithis of Varkal. War fleets stopped when her ships appeared. Kings bowed before her shadow. And suitors? They ran. Every suitor who came to ask for her hand left the same way. Shaking, broken, or screaming in fear. Some said it was her rage. Some said it was her power. Others whispered she was cursed. No one stayed long enough to know the truth. On the red metal world of Varkal, Queen Zerithis sat alone on her throne. The hall was vast and cold, built for glory, not comfort. Tall pillars reached the ceiling like frozen flames. Guards stood far away, careful not to meet her eyes. Her claws dug into the armrest. Another suitor had fled. Again. She did not roar. She did not smash the throne. She only closed her eyes. Inside her chest, something heavy pressed down, stronger than any enemy fleet. Loneliness. Zerithis was not born cruel. She was born powerful. Too powerful. From childhood, her emotions turned into energy storms. Anger bent metal. Fear cracked stone. Pain destroyed everything nearby. That was why no one dared stay close. The court advisor stepped forward carefully. "Your Majesty," he said softly. "Perhaps we should stop these meetings." Zerithis opened her eyes. They glowed faint violet. "And rule alone forever?" she asked. The advisor lowered his head. He had no answer. Far away, on the edge of Varkal's space, a small human cargo ship entered orbit. No flags. No royal escort. Just a beat-up vessel held together by repairs and hope. Inside the ship was Ethan Cole. Human. Mechanic. Unimportant. At least, that's what the galaxy thought. Ethan wiped grease from his hands and looked at the warning lights. Yeah, I see you," he muttered to the engine. "I'll fix you." He had been hired to repair a broken power relay inside the royal city. High pay. Low questions. Ethan didn't care who ruled the planet. Machines were machines everywhere. When he landed, soldiers surrounded his ship. "State your purpose," one guard demanded. "Fixing stuff," Ethan said calmly. "Your reactor's leaking energy like a broken pipe." The guards exchanged looks. No one spoke to the Queen's systems without fear. Still they escorted him inside. Ethan noticed the silence first. The palace felt empty. Not quiet, afraid. He reached the inner chamber where the main power node rested. As he worked, a sudden surge shook the walls. The lights flickered. Far above, Queen Zerithis felt the surge and rose from her throne. "Who touched the core?" she demanded. "A human, Your Majesty," a guard replied nervously. "A mechanic." Her eyes narrowed. A human inside her palace? She moved fast, each step heavy with controlled power. When she entered the chamber, the air changed. Guards backed away instantly. Ethan didn't turn around. He was too busy tightening a seal. "Hey," he called out. "Tell whoever owns this place to stop feeding raw energy into the core. You're gonna blow half the city." Silence fell like a dropped blade. No one spoke to the Queen like that. Zerithis stared at the small human. He was thin, oil-stained. Completely unaware he stood before the most feared being in this sector. Her anger rose. The walls vibrated. Ethan felt it. He slowly turned. "Oh," he said. "You must be the boss." Guards waited for the scream. For the blast. For the human to be crushed. It didn't happen. Zerithis stepped closer. Her power pressed down on him like a mountain. "Do you know who I am?" she asked. "Queen, I guess," Ethan said honestly. "Your reactor design is bad, by the way." A low growl escaped her throat. Her rage surged. And for the first time in years, someone did not run. Ethan's knees shook, but he stayed standing. "Look," he said quickly. "I don't care how scary you are. If this thing explodes, people die. Let me finish." The Queen raised her clawed hand. Energy gathered around it. One move, and he would be gone. Instead, something strange happened. Ethan stepped forward. Not to fight. Not to beg. He did something no one had ever done. He hugged her. Arms wrapped around her armored waist. Tight. Warm. Human. The energy around her shattered like glass. The hall went dead silent. Zerithis froze. Her rage collapsed inward, smothered by confusion. Her power, always wild, always burning, calmed. For the first time in her life, the The storm stopped. Ethan pulled back slowly. Yeah, he said softly, still shaking. That usually helps. Queen Zirithis stared at him. The galaxy's most feared queen was speechless. And somewhere deep inside her, a feeling awakened. Hope. Queen Zirithis had not been touched in 100 cycles. Not by family, not by suitors, not even by loyal soldiers. And yet here he was, a small human mechanic, hugging her as if she were normal. Her violet eyes burned with confusion. Rage had always been her armor, her weapon, and her crown. No one had ever seen her vulnerability. Ethan stepped back slowly, letting go, his hands still trembling. I didn't mean to startle you, Your Majesty, he said. His voice was low but steady. I just saw something about your reactor that could have exploded. Her sharp claws flexed. Power surged in the air, but it was weaker now. Controlled. Human contact had tamed it, if only slightly. I am Zirithis, she said, her voice colder than ice. I am not human. I cannot be touched. You are lucky to be alive. Ethan scratched his head, looking at the massive energy core behind him. Sparks flew, lights blinked, and the hum of raw power made the walls shake. Yeah, well, I've fixed worse, he said, shrugging. And besides, I don't really care if you're a queen or a goddess. You've got a broken reactor. I fix things. That's what I do. Her breath caught. No one spoke to her like that. Not ever. Her advisors would have whispered, do not question her. Her soldiers would have screamed, kneel. And suitors. Oh, the suitors would have run screaming or begged for mercy. But this human? He stood, brave, calm, completely unaware of the terror he was facing. Zirithis felt something unfamiliar. Curiosity. She leaned closer, violet energy rippling over her armor. Do you understand what you are standing in? Yes, Ethan said simply. A broken power core. And if it blows, a lot of people die. So let's fix it. The queen stared. Her energy flared, but it didn't hurt him. Something inside her wanted it to stop. She took a slow step back. Soldiers blinked in disbelief. They had never seen their queen move without fury. She was supposed to be untouchable, untamed, untouchable by fear or love. Ethan ignored her silent scrutiny and began to examine the core. Sparks flew as he adjusted a few panels, his hands moving with mechanical precision. Zirithis watched him. The calmness of a human repairing chaos was intoxicating. The core's energy had been unstable for years, threatening the city, threatening her people, threatening her own throne. Yet this human, tiny and fragile compared to her towering presence, could make sense of it. Why do you not fear me? She asked finally, her voice soft, almost trembling. Ethan looked up, wiping sweat from his forehead. Fear doesn't help anyone. You can scream and break things all day, but it won't fix your problems. If you want people to survive, you let them help. That's it. Zirithis froze. Nobody had ever spoken to her like that. Not even her mother, not even the council, not even those who had tried to win her favor. She wanted to roar. She wanted to crush him for his insolence. But she didn't. Something inside her shifted. A storm of loneliness had been raging for a century. And this human, this tiny mechanic, had offered her a hand. Her memories flashed. Childhood, the first time her power destroyed her toys. Adolescence, when she accidentally obliterated an entire training hall. Young adulthood, when suitors fled screaming. Centuries of isolation, of fear, of controlling the uncontrollable. And now, a human hugged her, and she felt something she had not felt in 100 cycles. Warmth. Trust. A possibility of companionship. The energy core's hum changed. It was calmer now, more stable. Ethan adjusted a few more panels and wiped his hands on a rag. There. That should hold for now, he said. But you're gonna need proper maintenance. You can't just ignore it. You're your confidence, Zirithis said slowly. You do not know the forces at work here. One wrong move and... I know, Ethan interrupted. That's why I'm careful. The queen's violet eyes softened. For the first time in centuries she smiled, just a little. Suddenly alarms blared. The palace shuddered. Soldiers drew their weapons. Attack! One guard whispered. Zirithis's claws flexed. Her energy roared back into life, But this time she did not let it explode. Instead she focused, ready to protect her people. Ethan stepped beside her. "Want me to help?" he asked. "Do you even know what you're facing?" she demanded. "Yeah. A bunch of idiots thinking they can mess with you." "Not gonna happen," he said calmly, tightening a panel that stabilized a secondary power source. The first wave of attackers hit the perimeter. Laser fire streaked across the sky. Ethan and Zirithus moved together, almost instinctively. She blasted enemies with violet energy, precise and controlled. He repaired defense systems in seconds, rerouting power and saving soldiers trapped in damaged corridors. They were a team, though neither had admitted it yet. And in that chaos, Zirithus realized something stunning. Humans were unpredictable, resourceful, brave. They could adapt. And maybe, just maybe, they could be trusted. The attack ended as quickly as it began. The enemy retreated, bewildered by the combination of overwhelming power and mechanical genius. Zirithus stood in the throne hall, exhausted. The guards bowed deeply. Soldiers whispered. All eyes were on her, and on the small human standing beside her. Ethan wiped grease from his hands again. "Well," he said, "I guess that's done for today. Your people are safe." Zirithus regarded him silently. Her anger had melted, her power stabilized, and something else had grown. Respect. Fascination. A strange warmth in her chest. "You," she began, her voice uncertain. "You are not afraid of me. That is dangerous." Ethan shrugged. "Maybe. But you're not so scary when you have someone helping you. Trust me." For the first time, the Queen of Varkal wondered if the universe might be bigger than her fury. If a single human mechanic could calm a storm she could not control, maybe she did not have to be alone. And somewhere deep inside her, a thought stirred. Could this human be different? The galaxy had never seen a suitor stand like this. But maybe, just maybe, this human was not here to flee. And maybe, he was here to stay. The palace was quiet again. The alarms had faded. The attackers had fled. But inside the throne hall, a different tension lingered. Queen Zirithus stood tall, her violet eyes scanning Ethan. The human mechanic had done the impossible, repaired her reactor, saved her city, and survived her wrath. "I still do not understand you," she said, her voice soft but sharp. "Most beings run at the first sign of my power. You did not." Ethan scratched his head, smiling nervously. "Maybe I'm just stubborn. Or maybe I just think people deserve a chance. Even queens." Zirithus blinked. She had never been called a queen in such a casual, human way. Not with warmth. Not with honesty. "You are different from all others," she said, her tone almost thoughtful. "And you're different from all others too," Ethan replied. "You've got a huge problem with anger. But hey, no one's perfect." She almost roared but didn't. Instead she studied him. The way he stood, unshaken by centuries of her legend. The way he spoke without fear. The way he acted instead of panicking. Somewhere deep in her chest, something shifted. Something she hadn't felt in ages, trust. Suddenly, the palace trembled. Alarms blared again, louder this time. Something bigger, faster, and deadlier approached. Ethan's eyes widened. That's not good." Zirithus's claws flexed. Her energy flared around her like a living storm. "They are returning," she said, her voice hardening. "And this time, they will not hesitate to destroy the city." Ethan moved quickly to the main control panel, analyzing energy patterns. "They've upgraded their weapons. You'll need precision and fast." Zirithus stepped forward, violet energy crackling from her armor. "I will protect my people. And I will protect this world." Ethan glanced at her. "Then let's do it together." For the first time, the Queen of Varkal and a human mechanic fought side by side. The attackers, massive alien warships, fired plasma beams that cut through the sky like lightning. Soldiers scrambled. Defense turrets were overwhelmed. But Ethan moved through the chaos, rewiring damaged systems, redirecting power, and activating backup shields. His hands flew over panels, repairing, adjusting, calculating faster than anyone thought possible. Zirithus unleashed controlled bursts of energy, cutting through enemy ships with pinpoint accuracy. Her wrath, once indiscriminate and terrifying, had become focused and unstoppable. Together, they were a storm. At one point, a warship crashed into the palace wall. Ethan leapt over debris, opened the control port, and rerouted energy, preventing a massive explosion. Zirithis hovered above him, her energy shield protecting both of them. "You're insane," she yelled over the chaos, a hint of admiration in her voice. "Maybe," Ethan shouted back, "but it works." Minutes felt like hours. Fire rained from the sky. Metal groaned and twisted. And through it all, the human mechanic never faltered. Finally, the last ship fell, retreating into the dark void of space. Silence returned. Smoke drifted through the throne hall. Guards and citizens slowly emerged, blinking at the devastation and the miracle they had just witnessed. Zirithis landed heavily on the throne platform, exhausted. Her energy faded, leaving only a faint violet glow. She looked at Ethan. "You," she began, struggling to find the words. "You are not afraid. You do not flee. You embrace danger." Ethan shrugged, brushing ash off his jacket. "I fix problems. And some problems are people too. You're just more complicated than a machine." She studied him silently, then slowly, almost reluctantly, smiled. A real smile. Soft, rare, and warm. "For centuries I have been alone," she said. "All suitors fled. All feared me. But you stayed. You fought. You calmed the storm inside me." Ethan laughed nervously. "Well, I'm used to born." She blinked. Then, without warning, she stepped forward. Her clawed hand rested lightly on his shoulder. No force. No threat. Just connection. Ethan froze. He had never been touched by royalty, much less a being as powerful and feared as Queen Zirithis. But it didn't hurt. It didn't crush him. It felt strangely right. "You are human," she whispered. "And yet, you have something no one else has. Courage, honesty, and heart." Ethan grinned. "And you, Your Majesty, have... well, you've got a lot of problems. But you're not so scary when you let someone in." For the first time, Zirithis laughed. It echoed through the throne hall, a sound both terrifying and beautiful. Her power still crackled, but now it hummed with life instead of rage. Guards stared in awe. Citizens whispered. And across the galaxy, legends would be rewritten. A human mechanic had not only repaired her palace, he had repaired her heart. Zirithis leaned slightly closer. "Will you stay?" she asked. Ethan blinked. "I guess I already am." For the first time, Queen Zirithis of Varkal felt something she had never imagined possible. Hope, trust, and companionship. She was not alone. And the galaxy would never forget the day a human mechanic hugged the most feared queen in the universe, and survived. Because sometimes courage is not about strength. Sometimes, it's about being human. And sometimes, being human is enough to tame a queen.